Hi and welcome to Priori Digital Studio tutorial. In this video, I will show you how to set up and use your all-in-one service business tracker in the most efficient way. In this video, I'm using Google Sheets, but the Excel version is exactly the same. First thing, we protect most of the cell where there are formulas to make sure that you don't erase any important formulas that could impact the spreadsheet. So if you see this message, it means you are not supposed to touch it. But don't worry, I will show you step by step how to prepare your spreadsheet. In this situation, simply click on the X and you will be fine. Moreover, we established a color code to show you which cell can be edited and which one cannot. So basically, you only can edit the cells that have a white background. Another small warning, please don't move a cell from one place to another. If you do move a cell, it could generate an issue by messing up the automation of the spreadsheet. The best way to avoid these errors is to copy and paste your data. Now let's take a look at the Bank Account tab. As you can see on the left-hand side of the tab, you will find a ribbon with a list of all the tabs to easily navigate through them. The tabs are separated by sections for easy navigation. The first section is the main section with the bank accounts, a global dashboard, and a calendar. Then you will see the order section to track your orders, your potential inventory, your clients, etc. Then you have the employee section, where you will be able to track their payroll, schedule, and timesheet. Then you have the bookkeeping section to better understand the metrics of your business, and the last section is the task tracker section to never forget to do something. All the menu is clickable, so if you want to go to the income tab, you simply have to click on the income link, and the spreadsheet will automatically bring you to this specific tab. If you don't want to see this menu, you also have the possibility to reduce it. To do so, simply click on the minus sign and the menu will be hidden. As you can see here, you have this small message. It's the only time where you can click on OK. This menu is available in all the tabs of the spreadsheet. If you want to see your menu again, you can simply click on the plus sign, click on OK, and then as you can see, the menu reappears. For the remaining of the bank account tab, you will be able to track all your cash, bank account, and credit card balances. So the first thing you want to do is to enter your cash starting balance. Then you will be able to list all your accounts. Then using the drop-down menu, select your account type and then enter each account starting balance. All the gray cells are automated, so you do not need to write any information. The data are auto-populated from the rest of the spreadsheet. We also added a column for adjustments to quickly modify the amount of your bank accounts if needed. If you do that, it means that you check the amount in your bank account and compared it to the one in the spreadsheet. So just to keep track of it, you could add the date of the last checkup for reference. If you use Google Sheets, simply double-click on a cell and a calendar will appear. If you use Excel, you will have to type in the date since this feature does not exist in Excel. So let's enter an example together. So for the account name, let's call it New Bank. Let's use the drop-down menu for the account type. This is a savings account, and let's say our starting balance is $1,000. As you can see here, the gray cells are automated. We will come back to this later. Then you can do exactly the same thing for your credit cards, except that there is no account type. The initial balance is the balance of your credit card at the beginning of your fiscal year or when you start to use this spreadsheet. If you scroll down, you will see a table where you can enter all the transfers between your accounts. Simply enter the date, the account from which you transferred, and the account receiving the money. Then don't forget to enter the actual amount. This table should be used especially when you transfer money between your accounts, withdraw cash, and when you do your credit card payments. Let's do an example together and let's enter a date. Then let's say we send money from our JP Morgan Chase bank account to our new bank account that we just created. And then let's say that we transferred $100. So if we scroll up, we will see that there is a change in our bank account total current balance. Now let's take a look at the Dashboard tab. The Dashboard tab summarizes the four main sections of the spreadsheet with a summary of your task at the top left, a summary of the employee section at the top right, Then on the left, a summary of your orders, inventory, and sales. And on the right hand side, a summary of your bookkeeping for the year. In this tab, only 3 cells are editable. All the other cells are totally automated. The first 2 cells are at the top of the page where you can define your start date to display the data. The data will be displayed for 1 full year. So if you select January 2024, for example, then the data will be from January 2024 to December 2024. The task overview section does not depend on the start date, but the 3 others do. Then the last cell that you can edit is the view selection in the bookkeeping overview section. It will allow you to select if you want to see the next amount, taxes, shipping, other fees, or total amount in the chart and tables below. Now let's take a look at the calendar tab. The calendar tab allows you to visualize all your important data in the monthly view. This tab is really intuitive since you simply have to change the calendar setup to display the data you want to see. So simply type in the year, select the month using the drop-down menu, and also select the start date of the week. Once it is done, you will see all your orders from the Order Tracker tab, all your orders to your suppliers from the Inventory tab, all your tasks, and all your payrolls. Once these transactions are paid or these tasks are done, they will be striked through and highlighted in green. You also have a small section for notes. Now let's take a look at the Orders Setup tab. The Order Setup is the first tab of the Orders section. First, you probably noticed in the 3 first tab a text mentioning that you can add your logo in the Order Setup tab. So you can add your logo at the top left of the page, and your logo will be populated in all the other tabs of the spreadsheet. To do so, click on the cell, then click on Insert, Image, Insert Image in Cell. Once it's done, you could browse your computer to find your logo. In Excel, this process is exactly the same. As you can see here, we added our logo. Let's go back to another tab, and as you can see here, it's there as well. So now your spreadsheet is branded to your own company. Once it's done, you will see multiple steps to set up this section of the spreadsheet. Step 1, enter your currency symbol. We are in dollars. If you are in another currency, simply type it in. Step 2, add your business information and your payment info. Basically, this information will automatically be added to the automated invoice, explained later in this video. Step 3 and 4, write your tax percentages. The first one is for your services and the second one is for general purposes. This way you have a lot of flexibilities with your taxes. Step 5, add up to 10 payment methods to know how your clients will pay you. Step 6, add up to 10 client types. Here we put a few examples to help you. Step 7, list all the different units for your services or material and products. These units will be used in a drop-down menu in the rest of the spreadsheet. You will be able to add more later if needed. Step 8, list all your services, the price for each of your services, their units, and a note if needed. The unit could be hours if it's an hourly rate, for example, or each of this is a flat rate for the service. Step 9 is not mandatory and depends on your business model. Not all service businesses have an inventory, but some others also sell finished products or use materials to provide their services. For example, a hairdresser could also sell shampoo and conditioner, and a plumber uses pipes to do its work. If you don't sell any product, you could simply skip this table. If you have an inventory, you could list all your materials and products, enter the SKU number, which means stock keeping unit, which you are using to refer to a specific material. Then you can add the selling price of this material/product, and then add the minimum inventory of this material/product and the unit. The minimum inventory represents the number of units you always want to have in your inventory to be sure to never run out of stock. You also have some space for notes. As a warning, we added a conditional formatting to warn you if you enter twice the same service and material name. Indeed, the spreadsheet will not be able to see the difference between your products if they have the same name, and it could generate an issue. So if you enter twice the service event planning, for example, then these two services will be highlighted in yellow. If you have two items that are highlighted, you have to delete at least one or change the name of one of them so that the spreadsheet understands that it's two different items. As you can see here, we changed and the yellow highlight disappeared. Another small warning, this tab is very important for the automation of the rest of the spreadsheet. So please don't move a cell from one place to another. If you do move a cell, it could generate an issue by messing up the automation of the spreadsheet. The best way to avoid these errors is to copy and paste your data. Now let's take a look at the Order Overview tab. In the Order Overview tab, you will be able to see the yearly overview of your business performance in terms of months. Set up the start date, type the year, and use the drop-down menu for the month. This tab is looking at the data on a 12-month period, so you can select any months to start. Right beneath the start date, you have a summary of your bestseller product and best client for the selected month. Then on the side, you have a graph with the amount of money received each month and the amount receivable. Then you have a graph comparing the amount of money invoiced, so basically your revenue for the month, and the amount of money you spent on restocking your inventory. In the middle of the tab, you will have a very comprehensive summary table of the year. You can find all the information about your invoices, how many are paid or unpaid for each month, as well as the money value for these invoices. You also have information on your average order value and money spent on restock. You also have a bar chart summarizing all your inventory information. You can have more details in the inventory tab that I will show later in this video. Then you have some room for notes and to-dos. Now let's take a look at the Quote tab. The Quote tab will help you quickly get a quote for your clients with a detailed cost breakdown. Indeed, you have 4 different tables to detail the price of your material and products, your services, the price of your potential equipment, and a spare table for other costs. So in the 2 first table, you will only have to select your material or products, and your services you enter in the Setup tab. Add the quantity, and all the rest of the table is automated based on the data in the Setup tab. Then add the equipment cost if you use some equipment. The amortization represents the number of time you will use a machinery before failure of it. Then finally add other costs like marketing or shipping, for example. The last cell to edit is the discount percentage you want to give your clients if you do give discounts. Now let's explore the Client Database tab. This tab is designed to help you organize and compile all your customer information in one place. You can record essential details such as names, phone numbers, email address, and customer type. The customer type drop-down menu is defined in the Order Setup tab. In the yellow section, you can input client addresses, and there's also a field for company names if you work with businesses. This information is automatically used to generate client invoices. In the orange section, you will find auto-populated data about each client, including their total number of orders, total payments made, and the date of their most recent order. Additionally, there's a designated space for notes, allowing you to add any extra details as needed. As you can see here on the top, you also have 2 charts to help you better understand your data. One of the most important features of this tab is the ability to filter and sort all your data. To access this feature, you simply have to click on the Filter button or scroll to the right side of the spreadsheet. In this section, you will be able to see all your clients and sort them by type, company name, industry, or even by amount paid. You can also customize this filter and also sort all your clients by ascending or descending order. So let's do an example together. So let's say in the type we choose business. Then let's sort the order by ascending. And then let's say that we want to write a minimum and a maximum amount paid. So let's write $10 and $50. As you can see here, we only have 2 transactions with these parameters. If you want to see all your transactions or all your data, simply click on the data that you entered and click on delete. And as you can see, all the data will reappear. Now let's have a look at the Inventory tab. If you don't sell materials or products and don't need to track inventory, you can skip this tab altogether. For convenience, you can also hide it by right-clicking the tab name at the bottom and selecting Hide. The inventory tracker is designed to help you stay on top of your stock levels and avoid running out of stock. On the left side of the tab, you will find a table for tracking your inventory of products. The only information you need to input in this table is your initial inventory. Simply enter the quantity of each item when you first start using this spreadsheet. You can also adjust your inventory in the plus minus column, making it easy to reconcile stock levels. A date column is included to track when adjustments are made, such as during monthly inventory checks. Lastly, there is a dedicated space for notes, allowing you to add any additional information as needed. Let's deep dive into the gray cells, which I remind you are totally automated. So the column product material, internal SKU, and minimum inventory come from the order setup tab, as well as the unit. Then for the quantity used, this will depend on the amount of order that you will have and the one that you track in the order tracker. We will cover this tab right after. As for the restock column, this comes from the table right on the side that we will talk in a few minutes. And then your inventory column is a calculation in between your initial inventory, the quantity used, the restock, as well as the plus or minus column. Then the status is also totally automated. So depending on your inventory level, the spreadsheet will tell you if you are out of stock or if you need to reorder soon. This column will really help you better manage your stock level and your business overall. Moreover, you have a column for the unit price as well as the total value. The unit price comes from the order setup tab, and then the total value is basically a calculation of the number of stocks that you have from this unit times the unit price. This is the total value for this specific units that you have in your warehouse. So you need to pay attention to these numbers as well because you don't want to keep too much value within your warehouse, especially for items that don't sell. On the right side of the inventory tab, you'll find a table to help you track orders placed with your suppliers. To use this table, simply enter the order date and the invoice number for reference. Select the material or product you've reordered. The SKU will populate automatically. Add the supplier's name and the quantity ordered. Next, input the net amount of your invoice. Sales taxes are calculated automatically, but you can adjust them if necessary. You can also include shipping and other fees, and the spreadsheet will automatically calculate the total amount and unit cost. You can track whether the order has arrived by updating the status column. Make sure to mark it as arrived when the order is received, otherwise it won't be added to your inventory. Additionally, specify the payment source in the account provenance column, and feel free to add any relevant notes. Finally, once the payment is complete, be sure to tick the checkbox on the left-hand side of the table. If the box isn't checked, the bank account tab won't update. This table also automatically adjusts the bookkeeping section that we will see later in this video. At the top of the page, you can see easily how many products you have in stock, to reorder soon, time to reorder since the inventory is below the minimum inventory, and out of stock. You also have the total value of your inventory and a bar chart with the top 3 products you have ordered the most in your inventory. Now let's take a look at the Order Tracker tab. This tab aims for you to track all your orders. First, you want to write the invoice number. You will be able to then select the customer from the drop-down menu. This drop-down menu is automated based on the Client Tracker tab. You can then enter the issue date and the due date. The amount column is automated based on the data that you will enter on the right side of the spreadsheet. So let's take a look at it right now. So on the right hand side, you will find 10 sections to add up to 10 different items to your order. So you will be able to select the name of the service or product and add a description. This description will appear on the Invoice tab that we will see later in this video. The unit price is automated based on the Order Setup tab. You simply have to enter the quantity and the total for this item is automatically calculated. So you can do that with up to 10 services or products. Now let's get back to the left-hand side of the table. The amount column is automated and sums the total of all the items that you added. The amount column is automated and sums the total of all the items that you added in the order. You could add a discount. This discount is in percentage and the spreadsheet automatically calculates the net amount. The service and product sales taxes are also automated, but you have the possibility to change them if you want. You can also add shipping and other fees. The total amount is automated. Then, when you receive the payment, you can enter the amount paid and the status automatically updates. If the amount is the same, the status is paid. If not, it is partially paid. The status could also be unpaid or overpaid. Then you can add a payment method and the account receivable. The due amount is the money your customer still owes you. You can also add the date when the payment is totally received and an update date and notes if needed. So let's enter an example together. I just removed some information. So the first thing that we will want to do is to enter the invoice number. Then use the drop-down menu to select the client. Then you can enter the issue date and the due date. This date could be the same, or you could have, like, for example, net 30. This depends on your business. A small reminder, all the gray cells are automated, so you should not enter any information in there. So now you can go to the right side and enter all the services or product that you sold to this client. So use the drop-down menu to select some items. So let's say animation asset pack, we sold 2. Let's say we add another product, email marketing template, let's say 5. And then let's enter one last item. So we can use the drop-down menu to select something. And then let's say website design 1. As you can see here, every time we enter a quantity, it updates the total amount of the item. If we wanted to write a description, we could as well. Let's go back to the left side. Find our transaction, which was invoice number 25. And as you can see here, the total amount was computed. Let's say that we want to give this customer a 5% discount. This was also totally automated and computed. So the net amount with the discount is now $617. The sales tax are computed as well as the product sales tax. Then we can add some other fees for shipping and or other fees. So our total amount for this specific transaction is $632. So let's say this customer pays us in full, so $632.50. As you can see here, the status changed automatically to paid. Let's say this customer underpaid pays us, so let's write $500. So as you can see here, the status changes to partially paid, meaning that you need to ask this customer to pay you fully. And here you can see the amount still due. So then we will leave it at this. Then let's enter the information in the payment method. Let's say this customer paid you in credit card and this money was received in your TD Bank account. So don't forget, all this information will be tracked in our bookkeeping section, so it's important to enter the right information. In addition, you can tick the checkbox on the left-hand side if the order is canceled. This row will be completely struck in red. So let's do an example. Let's click here. As you can see, all the transaction is now in red. An important note, all this tab automatically updates the bookkeeping section and this data will be added to the income section. So be careful when you enter your data. Now let's take a look at the invoice summary tab. We create this tab because it could be difficult to visualize all your invoice properly in the previous tab. The table below represents all your invoices from the order tracker tab, and the filter above allows you to display the invoice you want to see. For example, if I only want to see my unpaid invoices to send a follow-up message to my clients, I simply have to select unpaid in the status drop-down menu and only the unpaid invoice will appear. You can do this for all the filter options. After filtering your data, if you want to display all the invoice again, simply select the filter option and press delete. Now let's take a look at the invoice tab. This tab is really simple. You only have to select the invoice number and all the other information will appear automatically. Make sure to have filled all the information in the other tabs as well. Let's use the drop-down menu to find our invoice 25. So as you can see here, we had 3 products or services and they're all here. And if we scroll down a little bit, we see the 5% discount as well as the total amount, which was $632. As you can see here, I already have my logo to this invoice. If you really want to have your logo on your invoice, don't forget to add it to the order setup tab. You can also print this invoice. To do so, you can simply select the total invoice area, then click on the printing icon, then go to print, select cells, then you can select your paper size as well as your page orientation, and then simply click on next, and then you can print it. In my case, I will click on cancel and then on the X. If you want to have all the steps for Google Sheets and Excel, they are also available in our written instruction files available in your order. The employee database is the first tab of the employee section. In this tab, you will be able to enter all the data of your employees like their name, phone number, email address, and their hourly rate. You also have space for notes if needed. Now let's take a look at the monthly timesheet tab. The next three tabs are designed to help you track employees' timesheets and easily bill your clients. You can choose to track employee work hours on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis. In the monthly timesheet tab, simply enter the start date by specifying the year and the month. Record the number of hours worked by each employee in the table. The tab will automatically calculate the total hours for the month for each employee, their hourly rate as defined in the setup tab, and their payroll amount for the month. Now let's have a look at the bi-weekly timesheet tab. This tab is almost the same as the previous one, so simply enter your start date by adding the year, selecting the month, selecting the week number of the month, and the start day of the week. Then enter the work time of your employees. Same as the previous tab, you can visualize the total for 2 weeks and the amount of the payroll for each employee. The weekly timesheet tab works exactly the same as this tab. If you work on a monthly basis, you can easily hide the bi-weekly timesheet and the weekly timesheet. If you work on a weekly timesheet, for example, it's the same thing. You could hide the bi-weekly timesheet and monthly timesheet. We prefer to give you flexibility with your business, so don't hesitate to hide tab that you don't need. Now let's have a look at the payroll tab. In this tab, you will be able to track your employee salary for the next 5 years. On an important note, enter the gross salary in this tab, also including company social contribution, because this tab will populate the bookkeeping section. So first, you have to choose in the drop-down menu if you want to pay your employees weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. Then add the date of the first payroll. Then you can enter the payroll amount in the table for each employee. This table is adjustable and you will have to adjust it depending on the payroll. To do so, simply click on the small plus sign here. So as you can see here, the table just adjusts, and as you can see, all the week of the year. You can adjust it again and simply click on the minus sign, it will disappear. And then you only have to add your employee salary. Then finally, don't forget to add your account provenance, meaning the bank account where the money will be taken to pay your employees. Again, this is connected to the bookkeeping section, so it's important to select the right information. Now let's have a look at the employee schedule tab. In this tab, you will be able to track the number of days when your employees are sick, at work, on holidays, and so on. To do so, choose your start date by adding the year and selecting a month. Then add all the attendance type you want and their abbreviation for the table. Then simply choose the status of each employee for each day of the month with the drop-down menu. At the top of the page, you have a chart to summarize the table. The bookkeeping setup is the first tab of the bookkeeping section. In this tab, you will set up all your information needed for this section. In step 1, enter the date when you want to start this section of the spreadsheet. In step 2, enter all the different income and expense categories you think you will need for your business. You have up to 50 different categories for each of them. Be careful, the first category name for the income is for the order sales, and all the data of this category are imported from the order tracker tab, so you cannot remove it. Same for the 2 expenses. The 2 first categories are already taken by the material purchase from the inventory tab and the payroll from the payroll tab, so you cannot also delete these 2 categories. Don't worry, you can add more categories later if needed. And if you want to see the rows between 25 and 50, you can simply click on the plus here and the rows will appear. In step 3, you will be able to define your monthly and annual profit goal. Now let's take a look at the Income tab. The Income tab is a transaction tracker. It is one of the key parts of this spreadsheet with the Expense tab. This tab is very intuitive. You just have to type in the date of the transaction, the invoice number for reference if you have one, and use the drop-down menu to select the income categories previously defined in the Setup tab. Then you can enter the net amount and the sales tax applied. The sales tax amount is automated based on the tax rate previously entered in the Setup tab. But this column is not protected, so you will easily be able to adjust this amount if needed. If your customer also pays for shipping, you have a specific column for that. Same thing for other fees that you might collect, like the tips if you own a restaurant, for example. The total amount is in gray. It means that this column is automated, so you do not need to enter any data. After that, you can enter the account that receives this money with the drop-down menu. You also have room to write a description or a special note if needed. The last point is the column with the checkbox on the left-hand side of the income table. This column allows you to know if you received the money from your invoice or not. So if you are paid upfront, simply tick the checkbox when you enter the data in the row. If you send invoices to your customers, simply tick the box when you receive your money. If you do not tick these checkboxes, your bank account will not be updated. Once all your data is in this table, you can simply scroll to the right and you will see a really similar table. If you do not do anything, it will display exactly the same data, but the most interesting feature is that you can filter and sort all your data. This filter works exactly the same as all the other filters that we used within the spreadsheet. So simply enter your information and filter as you wish. Now let's take a look at the Expense tab. The Expense tab is really similar to the Income tab, so be sure to enter your information in the right place. The Expense tab is also a transaction tracker. It is one of the key parts of the spreadsheet. The principle is the same. Simply enter the date of the transaction, the invoice number for reference if you have one, and use the drop-down menu to select the expense category previously defined in the Setup tab. Then you can enter the net amount and the sales tax applied. The sales tax amount is automated based on the tax rate previously entered in the Setup tab. But this column is not protected, so you will be easily able to adjust this amount if needed. If you pay for shipping fees, for example, then you can enter this amount in the shipping category. Same thing for the other fees that you pay and that are not subject to tax, like tips in a restaurant, for example. The total amount is in gray, meaning that this column is automated, so you do not need to enter any data. After that, you can select the account provenance of the transaction with the drop-down menu. You also have room to write description and other notes if you want to. The last point is the column with the checkbox on the left-hand side of the expense table. This column allows you to know if you paid your invoice or not. So if you pay your expense upfront, for example, in a store, you can tick the checkbox when you enter your data in the row. If you pay an invoice 15 days after receiving it, for example, then simply tick the box when you actually pay it. These checkboxes represent when the money leaves your account. If you do not tick these checkboxes, your bank account will not be updated. If you scroll to the right, you will also find a filter exactly the same as in the income table. This filter works the same way, so select the information that you want to see and the filter will adapt. Now let's take a look at the mileage tab. The first thing to do is to set up this tab with the green table at the top left of the tab. So you can choose to use the kilometer or the mile as a unit, and then you can add up to 5 different mileage rates. So for example, you start your bookkeeping in 2023 and the mileage rate was 0.655 per mile. Then you simply have to enter the rate, the start date, which is January 1st, 2023, and the end date, December 31st, 2023. If in 2024 the rate was different, then you will be able to set up another rate for 2024 without affecting your 2023 bookkeeping. 2 different warnings might appear in this table. The first one is if the start date and the end date are inverted. In this situation, a warning message will pop below the table and the two date concerns will be highlighted in yellow. The second one is if two date ranges overlap. In this situation, a warning message will pop below the table and the dates concerned will be in red. So if you see these warnings, it means that you have to change at least one date and it might affect your bookkeeping and your account balances. Once the tab is set up, you can start to track all your mileage in the table below. So simply enter the date and the number of kilometers or miles. The amount is auto-populated based on the mileage rate defined above and the date. You can also define the account provenance of this transaction. And you also have some space for description and notes. Once all your data is in the table, you can simply scroll to the right and you will be able to filter and sort all your data exactly like in the Income tab and the Expense tab. Now let's take a look at the Monthly Dashboard tab. In this tab, the first thing you need to set up is the year and the month you want to visualize. So type in the year and use the drop-down menu to select the month that you want to see. Then, just below, you can select the data you want to visualize in the income table in green and the expense table in pink. So you can choose between net income, total income, tax, shipping, and other fees. Then everything is auto-populated. So this drop-down menu will display different data in the income table in green and the expense table in pink. That way, you will be able to visualize the data that you want. And if you want to see the rows between 25 and 50, you can simply click on the plus here and the row will appear. The View drop-down menu only affects these two tables and not the rest of the tab. At the top of the page, you have the main 6 important data of your business for the month. So your final net income that represents the total income minus the sales tax, total expense, total tax collected, total income, profit and loss, as well as your profit margin. Just below, you have 2 pie charts that represents your total income and total expense breakdown for the month. On the left side, you can see your progress compared to your monthly goal. And just below, there are 3 bar charts to compare your income and expense on 3 different parameters: your total amount, your net amount, and your taxes. In this tab, you really have all the information to understand your monthly business performance. Now let's take a look at the Annual tab. This tab represents exactly the same features as the Monthly tab, but is for 12 months straight. So the first thing is to select the start year and select the start month. If you select April 2024, for example, then the 12 months will be from April 2024 to March 2025. Then you have exactly the same drop-down menu to select the data you want to visualize in the Income and Expense section. Except these 3 cells, the rest of the tab is totally automated. You can also look at your profit versus your profit goal, as well as additional bar charts that represents your final net income, total expenses, and profit. You also have on the side a chart that represents the breakdown of your total income, as well as a breakdown for each month. And then same thing for your expenses. If you want to see the row from 25 to 50, again, you can simply click on the plus and the rows will appear. Also, one of the most interesting features is the cash flow at the bottom of the page that summarizes your business financial situation. You can see your net income, your tax collected, shipping fee received, and other fees received. It allows us to calculate the final net income, that is your net income plus the shipping fees received plus the other fees received. You can also see your net expenses, tax paid, shipping paid, other fees paid, and the mileage cost. The sum of all these expenses determine the final total expense. These 2 bold parameters define the profit of your company as well as your profit margin. Then the blue table is a summary of your goal and your progress. So you have your progress for each month and also the cumulative goal and progress. And the last table summarizes your sales tax collected, paid, and the difference. A chart is also there to easily visualize and understand your tax paid and received for the whole year. So this table basically summarizes all the bookkeeping data of your company over 12 months. You can even send this table to your accountant and it should be easier for you to track all your bookkeeping information. Now let's take a look at the Custom Dashboard tab. This tab is very similar to the monthly tab and the features are exactly the same. So once again, the only cells that can be modified are the start date and the end date in the view drop-down menu. The only difference is that you can decide which interval of date you want to check your business performance. So double click on the date and select the date you want to start and select the end of the period you want to see. A small reminder, if you are in Excel, however, this calendar feature does not exist, so you will have to type in the date. If the two dates are inverted, a warning will appear. You can see your performance over a period of few weeks or a few months. You decide on the interval. Now let's take a look at the Task Setup tab. This Task Setup is the first tab of the Task Trackers section. Within this tab, you'll find three tables designed for entering your personalized data: an emoji pool, task statuses, and task categories. The emoji pool, the first table, enhances the visibility of your task statuses. If you wish to incorporate new emojis, you can easily do so using websites like Emojipedia. Following that, you can input your task statuses and categories into the respective tables. In the cases of task status, you also have the option to select an emoji from the drop-down menu, providing a more visual representation of your task status. Now let's have a look at the Task Tracker tab, which offers a user-friendly interface. You simply need to input your tasks and associated data, such as client, status, chosen from a drop-down menu, due date, entered by double-clicking on the cell. The system automatically calculates the days left. Additionally, you can specify the priority, category, and the person in charge using the drop-down menu. The drop-down menu for the person in charge is taken from the Employee Database tab. There's also a designated area for the real completion date and for notes if needed. Upon completing a task, you can mark it by checking the checkbox on the left side of the table, resulting in a strike-through effect. At the top of the tab, you'll find task statistics presented through two pie charts, one sorting tasks by status and the other illustrating distribution per person in charge. On the right-hand side of the table, you will be able to filter your tasks to easily see them. The filter works exactly the same as all the other filters within this spreadsheet. That's it. I hope this tutorial helps you easily set up your spreadsheet. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or concerns. Follow Priori Digital Studio on YouTube for sneak peeks on our new templates.